Hello, my name is Jim Lee, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. Well, I'm going to be speaking about biology and theology coming together. And I'm not an expert in biology. I'm really not an expert in theology. However, this is going to stretch me, and hopefully there's some information that you can glean out of this that can support you in your life experience because it's already supported me. Well, the topic of biology that I'm getting into is fungi. Yep. That parasite, that spore producing, I think the proper word is eukaryote. Its roots are called mycelia or mycelium, and the fruit of the fungus is a mushroom that most of you are familiar with. And there's all kinds of mushrooms. But what I'm talking about underneath the mushroom and all of that is this mycelium. Now, what is mycelium? It is a network of discrete subspace, I would call it, domain of containing the roots of an organism. The network is a vast microscopic web, an intergalactic ecosystem, a net of light, or an infinite number of roads leading everywhere. This mycelium is underground, and it is these tendril-like roots are just connecting all over the place and sharing information, and it is really important to our planet. I want to do a little bit of background history. The universe began, our universe began about 13.77 billion years ago, and the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. And about 3.8 billion years, single life started to form. And about 650 million years ago, the fungi that was in the waters and whatnot came up on land. And at about 600 million years ago, a branch occurred in which the fungi moved in one direction, and this other branch was the animal kingdom. And us, we are, I would say, a direct descendant of the fungi. In fact, 50% of our DNA is fungi. Now, the truth is the truth, we are not separate from the earth. Biologically, we came from the earth, and we are one with it. It's all in us. In the Bible, in the second chapter, God created humans, and he said, he came from the dust, or from the earth. We are an arising from nature and of this planet. That's very important for us to get set as we begin this discussion. Now, the planet has this fungi mycelial network that exists as a natural information highway, which stretches across the entire planet and is constantly feeding and supporting and giving and directing and guiding. Matter of fact, how it happens, like in a forest, there can be all kinds of plants and trees, and actually underground they're communicating. If one is sick, then another shares information and what is needed to support the other. If a tree falls down and dies and decays, the fungi encompasses it, decomposes it, but then it gets down into the mycelium. But the other thing that's really important, all that information, that knowledge that was in the tree now is shared through the mycelium, and it goes and feeds all of the rest of the trees. It's an information sharing network that's more than that. It is constantly creating a way in which it stimulates one another to stay alive. So, just like the mycelium, we are stimulated by the mind of this planet as we seek to stay alive and thrive. So now the mycelium function just like what I would call the neural pathways of the human brain. Very, very similar. The truth of it is, we are indeed children of the earth. And as humans, we can say that we are a condensed version of the planetary mind packaged up in a biological avatar connected to the central system of the planet. Now, I got this from the Mycelium Network and Human Evolution podcast, which gave me a lot of good information on this. And now, it seems as though over time, we have severed this connection to the mycelium and to the planet and to the earth. As somewhat like in the Garden of Eden in the Bible, it's as we were like removed from the Garden of Eden. It's a symbolic representation of us splitting off and branching off. But the other thing is we had severed this. What we do have is a connection. We've severed that connection, just like we severed the connection of our spirit to the earth. Now, what a condition this is, and it's causing havoc. In H.M.L.Katie's book, Lessons in Truth, she states that the primary cause of all pain and suffering is a belief in separation. Well, we have created a distinct thought pattern that says that we are separate from one another, but also separate from nature. And it looks like all kinds of hell is broken loose because we have done that. But it seems like that was a bad thing, to be separate. But it was not. When I was young and in Bible study, I was taught that Adam and Eve were happy in the garden, everything was connected, and then they ate the apple. Actually, Eve ate the apple and then gave it to Adam, and then because of that disobedience, they were kicked out of the garden. And when I was growing, I thought that Eve was really bad. Gosh, she was bad to give it to Adam because it just created all havoc. Well, when we take a look at it, and we, on the one hand, we can see that we've created an awful, terrible condition. We have brought ourselves into what I would call a harmful situation on this planet. And it seems as though something bad is always happening because of this thought of separation. But on a spiritual, theological concept, this chaos and that we're on is a necessary journey to higher states of consciousness. This split, us getting kicked out of the garden, actually allowed us to explore and develop and to create a higher state of awareness. What I'm saying is this is a natural process that we are going through. We are now at the stage of development where we can receive the signals from, I would say, the core of all the sources, which is God, that is now intelligence to bring us to the next stage of development. So I love this quote. And it is, there is a world beyond ours. That world talks. It has a language of its own. I report what it says. And it says, the sacred mushroom takes me by the hand and brings me to the world where everything is known. I ask them And they answer me. Maria Sabina says this because the mycelium produces what I would call a mushroom, and there's some mushrooms that you can take, and that it exposes us and creates a new level of awareness. And matter of fact, to take the mushrooms, some of them actually get you high. Now I want to get you high, but not through the mushrooms, but through spiritual insights that can lift us up. So the affirmation is this: I am a universal web of light, flourishing in divine relationality. It is amazing how the natural world as we know it, I would say, she has wonderful information. And now it's up to us to embrace it because it's all around us. In fact, it's underneath us so that we can evolve to the next level. So, starting today, let's walk through our day in the awareness that we are interconnected. There's an interconnection with all of life. Just as the mycelium is connected together, working for the good of everything on the planet and supporting, just know that we are with that same nature. So I know that even when we fall or we have this illusion of separation, or our soul and actually the essence of our body never forgets that we are sustained by a web of love that cannot be broken. So, first thing, question: have you vision? Well, this world needs a vision. We need a new vision. We need new insights. We need ways in which we can solve these problems and the wars that we've got on. We've got all kinds of issues like healthcare that we need to resolve. And we need a new vision to overcome what I would call climate change and all of the conditions that are going on. And many of us long for a vision that we can again unite with one another and stop being separate and being so antagonistic for one another. We need a new vision for our personal lives. Some of us are bogged down with guilt and regret and all kinds of negative concepts. So we need a vision all the way around that can lift us to this new way of being. And so I'm reminded of the song by John Lennon, and in which he says, the song is Imagine. And a little line of it says, imagine there's no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Just a brotherhood of man. So he envisioned no countries, no religions, no private possessions, nothing to divide the human people from one another, nothing to fight or to die for, only peace and love and mutual benefit. Well, that's what the mycelium does underneath us all the time. And just like the mycelium, there is an inexhaustible source of mutual support that is traveling, I would say, in infinite numbers of roads leading to us and coming from us. Time for us to connect with it. The consciousness all around us and in us is alive with all possibilities. So the thing of it is, let's tap into that and let's create a vision. And all we have to do is just relax and breathe and know that everything around us is conspiring for our good. The next question: are you listening? Did you know anyone who has listening problem? Now notice I didn't say a hearing problem. We have ears that work quite well. However, sometimes we can have selective hearing. I like the story told of King Edward VII. His grandson, Prince David, was, I guess he and his grandson, they really had a good relationship. And David, as a child, he really was close, and they had this wonderful communication going. However, one particular time there was this big banquet, and the young prince said to King Edward, I want to say something. And everybody said, shh, you can't speak now. He's talking, so be quiet. So David tried to get his attention again, but everybody said, no, shh. Finally, the young prince, as he sat in silence until given permission to speak, he was finally allowed the opportunity to say something to his grandfather. And he says, well, it's too late now, Grandpa. It was a caterpillar on your lettuce, and you've eaten it. Sometimes we really need to stop and listen. Open our hearts up to love. Mother Earth is talking to us. In the silence, there are endless voices speaking the name of God, speaking to us and guiding us. Are we listening? Can you feel us? And can you feel the mycelium? Sometimes it appears to us that God has moved and left no forwarding address. It seems like God has abandoned us. I know sometimes I've even said, oh, God, are you there? Do you understand what's happening in our lives? Well, I want to say that God sees, God knows, because God is everywhere and in us. William Henson had an experience of seeing a baby owl on his front lawn. And he went out to see what was going on and said, what should I do? So he called the local animal clinic, and they said, don't touch it. Don't do anything to it. Just let it stay there. And he said, but if you would look up at the tree, you will see that the owl is not alone. For the mother owl is there watching. Well, you see, it takes about a couple of days before the owl can stretch out his wings and fly. But the whole time, mother is watching. So I just want us to look up, relax, and feel the support of a loving vibration all around us. This is a combination of biology and theology coming together. The whole planet is here for us. The next thing is share our wisdom. This is the other thing the mycelium is saying. So I have a question for you. And I just want you to know this. It's a kind of a trick question. What did God create first? Genesis says that in the beginning, darkness covered the face of the deep. So, as his first step in creating the world, God said, let there be light. And this is in the Bible. And light came into being. But remember now, I said this was a trick question. So light is not the answer I'm looking for. My question is, take a look at this. The world that God created first, but his first creative act was what? And it's different than the light. And then we need to go to Proverbs, the 8th chapter. And it says wisdom. Speaking in the first person, says, the Lord created me at the beginning of his work, first of his acts of long ago. So wisdom, which is really the attribute of God, and also I like it's personified as a woman. The personified woman, wisdom, said that while God was creating the earth, She was beside him. Wisdom and God's companion in the process of creating the earth. And so divine mycelium is the wisdom that is connecting everything together, that's been here from the very beginning and is always available, pouring itself to us. There is an answer to every condition, every situation, when we're open to this, what I would call collective I am, the only one that is truly here, the one and only essence of God manifest in many ways. In conclusion, our affirmation is this: I am a universal web of light, flourishing in divine relationality. So let's open up our minds and hearts to the divineness that is ready to flow in and through us to lead and guide us in the directions that we need to go. God bless you.